Alright, so today we're going to talk about functions. It's getting to some of the more fun stuff. So let's go ahead and get started. So functions, what are functions? It's a block of reusable code, and just like variable, you can declare them, but unlike variables, they're more active, as in you can invoke the function to have it perform some action you kind of predetermine. So here's an example of a function. So we have a very straightforward function that takes in two numbers and it returns the sum of two numbers. And when you write a function in Node.js, this is kind of how you declare it. First of all, you use the function keyword to indicate, hey, I'm creating a function. Here you have the name of the function, which you can, like, similar to naming a variable, you can name it however you want with pretty similar naming conventions. And then this is where difference from a variable. So it has these two parentheses, which indicates as a function. And between these two parentheses, you can add in parameters, which are optional things that can act as an input for your function. Of course, some function doesn't have input, in which case you can just leave them blank. But when there are parameters, this is where they will go, and you will name them something that makes sense, something that's indicative of what the parameter is meant to do. And within the function, you can have a lot more things than just here. We just have one step. We take the sum and we return that. The return keyword means you take the result, and that will be the output of your function. And this is also optional. There are some function that doesn't output anything. It just does something and it's done. So in our case, what we have is we have two numbers, we add them together, and we return that as the result. So how do we call this function? Very straightforward. The result of that becomes a value that you can assign to another variable, and you can print that variable to see what the result is. So here we define the function, and because we define num1 and num2, when we pass in these two numbers, it gets assigned to num1 and num2 like correspondingly. So in this case, when this is actually run, num1 will equal to 1 and num2 will equal to 2. So here why don't we practice that. So we have num1, num2, and we can have, if I want to be more thorough, we can see result equals num1 plus num2, and then we can return this as result. We can say var added result equals add 1 and 2. So this is what is known as I'm invoking or calling the function, and then the result of this function gets stored into this variable, which we can then access with this. Cool. So now when we run this, we get 3, which is the result of 1 plus 2, which we assign as parameters to this function. And within the function, it adds the two numbers, and it returns that as the result. Okay, that's pretty much it for a simple function. So the homework, first one, create a function that when given the person's birth year and current year, calculate their approximate age. I said approximate because you don't know if they passed their birthday or not, so it could be off by 1. So in our case, you can just give a approximate age. Second one, let's say the function takes a parameter, which is the person's name, and then you write whatever message you want to greet them. You can say hello, blah blah blah, hello Dr. Octavic, or hello, or greetings, or whatever. Just as long as the message output includes their name, that's good. All right, that is it for functions.